The rocket launcher is the newest weapon in ULTRAKILL. You can acquire the weapon in level 5-3. The weapon currently has a single variation, that being the Freezeframe or blue variant. Rockets will only create damage-dealing explosions when direct contact is made with a living target. Indirect hits will instead launch the target in the opposite direction to the landing site. Hitting falling targets will create a larger and more damaging explosion. This explosion is the same as the malicious rail cannon, however the damage is less. You can also prematurely detonate the rocket by shooting it with a hit scan weapon such as the revolver or rail cannon. This also means the rocket is targeted by coins. Although the original explanation for the rocket launcher in 5.3 demonstrates it as a large-scale damage dealer, it is actually much more useful in movement mechanics. Whiplashing a rocket will cause it to be pulled back, exploding the player in a direction based on the angle the rocket is at, relative to V1. This can be a very easy way to boost a player into the air for less HP than a nuke or green shotgun blast, as it damages the player for 35 HP rather than the regular 50. This also makes it a good alternative to using cores from the blue shotgun. Firing a rocket at the ground during the hop of a slide jump will boost the player at a high speed and can be used to speed up acceleration of the technique. I suggest using it only during the initial hop, as the speed buffs from the rocket launcher slow significantly after the first slide jump. V1 can hop onto a rocket, causing the player to be put into a rocket riding state. This lets them stand on the rocket for a short amount of time until the rocket eventually falls out of the air. This period is based on the verticality of the flight. Players can control the direction of flight using the movement keys. Keep in mind that the keys are not relative to the player, and so for example, turning the rocket upside down will cause the controls to invert. Despite rocket riding being a useful technique, it is difficult to pull off during a high-speed combat situation. However, there are a few methods for quickly getting onto a rocket, two being brand new to this guide. The first is quite basic with many variations. The most common method is to freeze, jump, fire, and finally unfreeze. The timing is rather difficult and awkward as you must unfreeze later than you might expect. Try not to hit any of the movement keys after landing on the rocket, as it's quite easy to land and immediately push the rocket into a nosedive, crashing into a surface. Lash Riding is a new technique. Grappling a rocket will boost the player momentarily. However, grappling to a rocket beneath V1 will put the player into an instant rocket riding state, which can also be repeated indefinitely. To do this correctly, you must be at enough distance to fire a rocket beneath you and grapple to it before the rocket can hit anything. Slam storage works perfectly for this. Afterwards, fire the rocket only when you are falling. This is vital. If you fire the rocket while still climbing in height, the result will be the regular explosive boost rather than rocket riding. Rocket boosting is the last new technique I have found. Once again, it requires distance between the floor. This technique requires a much greater distance, however. Slam storage is recommended. Once at the desired height, start slamming to the ground. Fire 2 rockets downwards. Lastly, hit the whiplash button. Once you have done this, one of the rockets will be continuously boosting the other in which you are riding on. This allows you to gain height until the rockets despawn. Make sure not to hit the forward or backward keys to make the rockets parallel, as the speed will be reduced. Keep them at this 90-degree angle to keep the rocket boost as efficient as possible. I hope this guide has helped some people learn the uses for the Freezeframe rocket launcher. I did not understand it myself until playing around with it in Sandbox. I personally think it's a great recovery tool in Cybergrind, especially with the new techniques I have found. Thank you for watching.